Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on this morning's webinar. For today we have Kyloe's Kyloe partners with us. We have Raymond Penny, Kyloe's founding director, alongside Lee Whitaker, Director of Australia in Kyloe. They will be running us through their Kyloe Plus applications, helping you to create pre-built reports to extract meaningful data from Bullhorn. So just a few housekeeping things from me before I pass it over to them. If you have any questions at any point during the webinar, pop them into the questions panel and we'll make sure to get back to you after this webinar. And this webinar should be about 30 minutes. It will be recorded, so don't worry if you missed anything. And the recording will be sent to you later this afternoon. But with that all said, I'll pass it over to you, Lee.
Hi everyone, this is Lee Whitaker from Kyloe. I'm just going to give you a short introduction to Kyloe if you're not one of our existing clients or you haven't heard about us through the Bullhorn marketplace. We're experts in Bullhorn, having years of experience working on the Bullhorn system and providing solutions to recruiters. Our goal is to help you optimize Bullhorn, drive your business forward, and create time and opportunities for you. And we do this in a range of ways through training, consulting, and implementing Bullhorn itself. We also have more than 20 apps that are specifically built for the Bullhorn platform. The agenda for today, for this 30-minute session, is just to remind you about what the Canvas system is for Bullhorn. We're going to give you some secret tips to Bullhorn Canvas. We're going to show you some of these pre-built Canvas reports that we've created and talk to you about some of the other services we have available for Canvas. So as a reminder, Bullhorn Canvas is a business analytical suite. It helps you explore your data. It helps you unlock powerful insights, and it lets you take action to drive business results. The Bullhorn Canvas product has a lot of functionality, including drag and drop for ad hoc reporting, complex data models that let you actually have multiple entities, let you use all the custom data and custom objects you have in Bullhorn, and it has visualization tools. So you're not just creating spreadsheets, you're creating charts, graphs, and heat maps all through Canvas. Now, we're going to start with giving you some secret tips to Canvas, and we're going to show you one of these at the end before we step into showing you some of the Canvas reports. Some of the things that we commonly get asked about Canvas that you're actually able to do is you're able to schedule reports that can land in your mailbox. You can report on custom objects and files that you have across your entire Bullhorn platform. That includes your finance information and things like credentials, maybe a report on licenses expiring. You can actually create counts of emails, for example, by contact. You're able to join data you have in Canvas. So you can create a margin on the extensions you put through your placements using the Bullhorn change request feature. Or you can actually run one report within another one, and we're going to show you that today. You can use the edit history tab, so you can actually look at data back in time in Bullhorn. So how many placements were approved this month, not how many are outstanding at the moment. And you actually have the ability through Canvas to create what we call an out of Bullhorn experience. So you can create a report you can actually have on a URL, maybe you pop that up on your TV screen in the office, having data from Bullhorn running out to your users. So our agenda for today is to take you through a company dashboard, show you a time to activity report in Canvas, a job value report, and what we call an everything report with a drill through to data. I'm going to hop out of here for now, and I'm going to start by showing you that last secret we talked about. Come out, hopefully. So what you should be able to see right now is I've got a URL here up on a web page, and this web page you can have on a computer screen, maybe in a TV in your office, and this is running a report right now through Canvas outside of Bullhorn. And this report actually we've set it every 15 seconds to refresh, so you'll see it working away right now and updating this data of current open jobs. And that's something available to you with the Bullhorn Canvas tool you have, or something we can certainly help you create and build for your business. So with that, I'm going to hand over to
Raymond here, and I'll just interrupt a little bit on that open jobs report. The other thing we've done on the open jobs report, if you see the far right-hand column, is it's a list of open jobs where we haven't, with a count of how many CVs have been sent against that particular job, where it actually updates, because we had a number of people who asked us for what they concentrate on in their office is jobs they've had on that they haven't yet been able to send resumes for. So that was as an example report, and that gets shown on a TV screen local to the team that it's for, and they're able to see what they need to work. A little bit like you would if you were using a traditional board. Sorry. So what I think we're going to do now is we're just going to go into some examples and we're going to talk through what you see on it. And the one we're going to start with here is an example of a report that doesn't look like a report. So you'll see this is a company record for HSBC Global, and we've created a card that you can have and move around the screen. And in it, we've actually got a number of reports. So this report is actually 5 reports running in one. And the initial start is to give whoever's going to this client, if you're about to do prospecting to a new client, or you're a new consultant and you've been allocated this client as part of your list, then this report brings to the front a little bit of the history. Now, this client is actually our second biggest client by value, as in the HSBC Global, and it shows the number of jobs that we've had open and how old they are, the number of days that it normally takes us to fill, and we're quite bad because we've got a couple of jobs here that it's taken us 710 days to fill, so I think I'll probably sack myself. The value of revenue generated in perm deals, the value of margin generated across contract deals over the last 12 months, as well as number of placements and the job to placement ratio that we have. So it takes us 1.4 jobs for us to fill one, which is pretty good. Now, as I said, this is actually 5 reports running as one. So we've got another tab that demonstrates placements, and this is the number of placements that we've made with HSBC Global in the last 12 months, how many in the last 30 days, and how many in the last 60 days, and how that compares. So it actually looks like it's slowing down for HSBC Global within us. And then in the bottom, it shows the placements we've made, how many are contract, how many are temp, how many are perm, and how many are temporary job types. So that's a separate report, again, living in a custom card. Then we've got a job activity section, which demonstrates what I was saying just now about the drop off in job activity that we've had from this client. And it demonstrates by way of a graph the number of jobs that we've had in the last 12 months and how many in the last 30 and 60 days. Then, because we do most of our work on HSBC Global in the contract space, here are how many active freelancers have we got working and the margin that we've got from those people and how that goes forward over the next 12 months. So that's looking at the difference between the bill rate and the pay rate, the number of days in the month, and predicting the amount of margin they will be making from this client going forward. And then the final tab is a bit of a ratios page that gives us metrics on how many CVs have been sent, how many interviews have been booked, how many offers have been made, and how much the pipeline is worth, as well as how many jobs to CVs, how many CVs to interviews, how many CVs sent to placements do we get, and then that jobs to placement ratio. So I think that one of the things that people find as they get into Canvas is that it doesn't look sexy straight away. But what we're trying to show in this scenario is this is what it can look like, and it doesn't have to be a boring list. It doesn't have to just be numbers or lists, but it can actually be pictures, it can be ratios, and it can be useful and brought to the eye of the user straight away. So that's what a Canvas card can look like. Now, the other thing that we do with this particular report is it can also be used and printed out as a PDF and used as the basis of your quarterly business reviews with your client, if that's something that you do. So that's there. So Lee, let's go and look at some other Canvas reports. Now, what we have here is we've moved. This is an example of a report that runs other reports. And this is what we have as our Kyloe Plus homepage. And it illustrates the reports that we've built already. We're only going to look at some of them. There's a lot of reports here and we're not going to go into each one. But what we're going to show is that we've broken the reports down into different areas based on who would be able to see them. So this report, if I was a consultant, I would only see the operational reports, and those operational reports would default to run in my name. And they cover things like my activity, my time to activity, leaderboards, and candidates that I've worked with. Then we have a directional level of reports, and they're more to do with money, and they're probably aimed at either directors, sales directors, or managers of a team. And they look at things to do with money, whether that's placements, whether that's forward-looking job value, and we're going to have a look at that report in a moment, or efficiency as to which customers we put the effort into compared to the value we get from the customer. And then important to people who are running a desk, or you're looking at the risk in the desk that you're running across the business, might be how many clients do I actually have and how many placements do I make with them, and that we call our client base report. Then the second bottom row there are probably reports that are more analytical in nature, and they would maybe be run by your system admin or your business systems manager, and they look at things like data quality, supply and demand, are there any trends in the business, and a reverse marketing report that illustrates how you can, if you have a candidate, which jobs can be found from it. And then we've got some other random reports that didn't have a place to go, which is our search summary report if you do exec search. And then one that we've recently added, which looks at margin erosion as you extend. So if you've got lots of contractors, what happens to the margin the longer or the more times your contract gets extended. But what we're going to look at is we're only going to look at 3 today because we've got limited time. So we're going to start by looking at the time to activity report. So Lee, if you would like to show what our time to activity report looks like. What we've got here is our time to activity report, and it measures the time between the job being added and how long we have between the job being added and the first time we present a CV, the job being added the first time we get an interview, the time the job's added to the time we get the first interview happening, to the first time we get an offer, and then finally how long it takes for placements. Now, obviously, we are very, very good because we only take 3 days on average to fill a placement, but that's because we do a lot of temp work. What we've set in the background to this report is what is an acceptable time period versus an unacceptable time period, and we've gone with a traditional red, amber, green. So 7 days is too long for us to get first submission to a customer, and it looks like the 5th row down, somebody's not pulling their weight there with 76 days to get first client submission, so we'll be having a word with Jordan. And equally, we've got some percentages on the right hand side, which is what percentage of submissions do we make become placements, etc., etc. So this is our time to activity report. Now, we also illustrated earlier that some reports can be used to run other reports, and we've got a secret button in the middle of our time to activity report that actually passes this time to what we call our job value report. So if you were to click that, that would pass the time across to our job value report. And what our job value report, it's really probably only at its best if you run a perm desk, and it looks at the number of jobs you've got open in perm by the stage they are in your workflow process. So here we've got, if you look bottom right, it looks like the total value of the jobs that we have open that we could fill is just under $21,000. And that's based upon the full value of the salary times the perm fee to give us the total value. So if everything landed, we'd be 21,000. And the timetable is used from the date. So where we see 9,200 in the Kyloe line, that's deals we think they're going to close in week 47, which I think is next week. and that's on the basis of the time to activity report that we had earlier. So when was the job added? When should this job close on that basis? Now, for anyone listening who is involved in a perm desk, you'll know that everyone's really, really rosy, and they're always going to fill every job they've got. What we've added to this report is a toggle at the top that says, based on previous history, how much are these deals worth on the basis of where they are percentage-wise. So we had $21,000, but on the basis, how much are they worth if we fill one in 6 jobs that we take on, then we apply that weighting to the job, and the weighted value today is only $9,847. So that's a more realistic value if we're looking forward. But again, it gives the estimated of when the value would land and what it is there. So we've got some good value in the offer stage, some other values at the interview stage, but unfortunately we've got some where all we've done is sent a CV, and maybe that's not so good and it's worth a lot less. So that's our job value report, which is a great way of bringing to a consultant a visual view of what their open perm jobs are worth, and depending on the stage they're at, what's the likelihood of them closing. So a very, very popular report, that one. Now, the other thing that we've done is we've got some very simple reports that just look at activity. So I think if we look at the Kyloe Everything report, and it's called the Everything report for a reason, because it just counts everything, and it counts everything that's happened for a date range. So in best Kyloe colors, what you've got here is the Kyloe team and the different activities they've done. So you can see that we've got jobs and how many CVs have been sent, candidates created, followed by interviews that have either been arranged, scheduled, and different statuses, appointments, visited, and then for placements, we've got contracts that have been added, and then contracts that have been ended, and then right at the very end we've got notes, and on the notes section we've got contracts sent or SMS messages sent that are being counted. And each of the numbers that we have on this report are actually a drill through. So if you click on the number, that opens another report which gives you the detail behind each of the reports. And that's the detail behind that. So what we've tried to show for you today is an illustration of the sort of things that you can do with Canvas. Very, very powerful tool. And I think if we go back to the secrets, I think what Canvas can bring, and we'll go back to the slides a little bit, that Canvas can bring some very powerful pieces of data that are difficult to get to using non-native Bullhorn products. And particularly the one I'd like to highlight is the second one from the bottom, and it's using the edit history that you have in records and being able to create items using that history and almost rewinding the clock. And we're doing some really interesting work with a couple of clients at the moment, looking at not only the current status of roles, but also the pace by which they changed and how much work is being done by certain members of the team on the basis of it. So we're particularly looking at how long it took from a placement being submitted to a placement being approved, and therefore the invoice being sent. So I think that that's something there. And one of the other points in our secrets list is, please, if you've got Canvas, don't forget that it's really straightforward to schedule reports such that they can land in your mailbox last thing on a Friday, first thing on a Monday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, in order to help the team manage themselves by getting an email that highlights things that are there. So I'm hoping that's a useful, albeit very fast, whistle-stop tour through what can be done in Canvas. and I think you're almost just limited by the imagination when it comes to how you can create reports. So Lee, would you like to explain what else we've got at Kyloe on Canvas?
Great. Thank you very much, Raymond, and thank you everyone for listening. And as Raymond mentioned, that was just a quick tour of some of the many reports that we've pre-built and packaged that we call Kyloe Canvas Plus. But on top of that, as part of our work with Bullhorn, we have a lot of other services we do offer for Canvas. So whether you have a new starter who'd like some familiarization training to really get under the hood of the basic Canvas and Canvas features, or if you've got some more advanced users that they'd like to have a report where you've kind of got to the point, maybe it's looking a bit like our everything report and you want to make it more visual, or you're trying to join reports and do something clever, like actually have a report run within report, then we have the ability to actually work with you and joint finish off a report as a walkthrough, or create a report for you and take you through under the hood how we've actually created it so you can learn. We do consulting on Canvas, whether that's helping you work out what you want it to look like. So again, making it that power of your imagination and using our team to drive the different reports and different visualizations. Or we do have the ability to just write the report on your behalf. So we offer a lot of services outside of our package reports for Canvas, based on where you are as a business, what team you have, and your reporting requirements. As Sally mentioned at the start, if you have any questions, if you put them into the question panel, what we'll do following on from today's session is actually reply to those over email. We know sometimes with Canvas they're quite unique to your business, to your specific requirements. And we can obviously follow up with you and send you specific information on any of those Canvas services we've talked about today. So thank you very much for your time. And I'm going to hand you back to Sally to finish off the session.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee and Raven, for taking us through Kyloe Canvas Plus. As they said, if you want to learn more about it, get in touch with the Kyloe team. If you have any questions from today's webinar, as Lee said, pop them into the questions panel now, and we'll be sure to get back to you following the webinar. Thank you again, everyone, for joining our webinar. I hope to see you guys next time, but have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.